Hello! We are in the middle of a windstorm currently, so our house lost power and so it's a bit cold in here. I got my hand warmers because the heat is obviously not working, and you might hear the wind like screaming through the window at some point because it's a bit drafty, so that's why also I'm wearing my earmuffs because I am cold. Today we're going to be talking about color theory, which was one of my favorite things to teach when I was a middle school art teacher. I have a couple of my worksheets here to show you because I thought maybe they'll be helpful. I think color theory can often be overlooked when we're designing the interiors of our homes, but honestly it is such a helpful tool, and with it, it's kind of like a superpower. Once you kind of get a grasp of some color schemes, it's really simple, honestly, to utilize it and to use it to elevate your spaces. Gavin's not here right now, but if he heard the wind wailing like that, it would really freak him out. First things first, we start with a color wheel. And this is a worksheet that I made for the kids to use when I was teaching this lesson. And you really just start with your primary colors, then going into the secondary, tertiary colors, and then going into tints and shades. And for this, we would just have tempera paint, and we would all mix our paints together. Like, how much yellow should you use? How much blue should you use to get green? But primary colors are the colors that are used to mix all the other colors of the rainbow. So you got your yellow, blue, red, and those colors have a connotation of maybe youth. Those colors are used in a lot of children's toys. They're often the brightest colors because they're the most pigmented. They are the ones that have the most saturation, so they're used to create the colors in between. And so if you want like a really bright color, you would go with yellow or red or blue. They're used for that really bold, classic look. The next color scheme we're talking about is secondary colors, and those are the colors in between the primary colors. So we got green, purple, and orange. And obviously those are the ones that when you mix two primaries together, those are what you get. Those, I guess, are seen as slightly more complex colors because they're a mixed color. They're not just a basic base color as a primary color is. These colors have sort of a rich connotation, but also, you can tell me if I'm wrong, this is like a personal connotation that I've seen out there, that I have gotten the vibe that people think secondary colors are the ugliest colors. And I'm not sure how that happened. I don't know where it came from. I feel like Barney has something to do with that, with the purple green color scheme. There's a certain connotation there with these colors. They're not like classic colors. You can tell me if that take is completely wrong, but that's what I have kind of noticed or seen out there in terms of the emotional response people have towards that color scheme, especially when used together. Okay, then we got our tertiary colors, which is like red violet, yellow orange, yellow green, blue violet. These colors are more subtle colors. They're still very bright, obviously, because they're still very saturated colors, but they have a subtlety to them because they are a mix of the mixed colors in themselves. So they can kind of lead into other color schemes. They're sort of like a bridge between a really bright color or really saturated bold color scheme into a more subdued color scheme. So that's all of the color schemes that are the main colors on the color wheel. But now we use the color wheel as a tool to create more color schemes. So the next one I would get into is complementary, which is my favorite because it creates the most contrast. It creates the most maybe wow, shock factor to your eyeball when you're looking at it, because complementary colors are the exact opposites on the color wheel. So red and green are complementary colors. Orange and blue are complementary colors. Yellow and purple slash violet. There's nothing that leads them into each other. They're just so different. The values of them are such intense differences that when put together, it creates this really harsh line that is a little bit like shocking to look at, but it's really beautiful. At least to me, I really enjoy complementary color schemes. I think that they're gorgeous. The next one we got on here is analogous, and that is going to be colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So like red violet, violet, and red orange. This color scheme is the one that is maybe very blended together. Everything is similar tonally. The difference is very subtle that it creates a little bit of a harmony together. It is really beautiful, but it's not as intense as like a complementary color scheme would be. It's harmonious, it's like softer. I wouldn't say it's less interesting than a complementary color scheme, but just it is more subdued. And then we got our monochromatic color scheme, which I feel like is very popular, like especially with fashion. People really like to wear head to toe of everything being one color, which is fun. That's a really fun look. Same thing in your home. If everything is a very similar color, similar tone, like everything in a room is blue. You got dark blue, light blue, medium blue, and that's the vibe of a room. I have seen the color washing, which is where the trim, the walls, and the ceilings are all the same color. I feel like that leans into the monochromatic color scheme for sure. The last two color schemes are a little bit more like vast. Each of them take up pretty much like half of the color wheel, and that is warm colors and cool colors. And I actually have an example. I showed these examples in my studio makeover video, so you might have already seen these. But when I was teaching, I was trying to explain what a warm color scheme painting would look like versus a cool color scheme painting. So I did examples for the kids because we were doing Impressionism also. This was the cool color scheme. And then we have this guy, which is the warm one. So that really does split the color wheel right in half. But there is some subjectivity here, like you could go into violet, you know, red violet is definitely a warmer color, and then yellow green is also a warmer color. So I feel like the warm family steals a little bit of the cool colors. I've seen that the warm color scheme is a little bit more popular. At least that's what I've been noticing on Instagram and Pinterest, but that's just my algorithm, and I do actually love warm colors. I prefer warm colors generally more than cool colors. That's just personal preference. Oh, I wanted to show this worksheet that I made of Chance the Rapper. So this one was complementary, this one was warm / analogous, this was primary, secondary, monochromatic. You see that? The power just came back on. Ta-da! I hear the heat going. So that's exciting! According to mentalhealthamerica.org, bright, warm colors stimulate energy and happiness, while cool, subdued colors are soothing and calming. We see this used in rooms and spaces that we go out into society, like McDonald's, fast food places, arcades. These all use really bright colors, whereas a spa would use maybe subdued, cooler colors. That's like using psychology to get us to feel certain ways when we enter spaces. And we want to do the same exact thing in our homes. mentalhealthamerica.org also says that while there's some universal truths about how certain colors affect the brain and body, each person's response to a color may be different based on their experiences and cultural background. So of course, red or pink or orange might mean a slightly different thing depending on where you are. Like, I know that red for East Asian culture is very happy, very wealthy, healthy, excited, celebratory, and white is sort of like the color of death. And for others, the color white may be like calming, peaceful, rebirth, new, pure. It really depends, like the article said, on culture. So color is obviously still subjective, even though generally we can say orange makes people feel hungry. If you're designing a room from scratch, I think a lot of times what we do is take a color that we really like, or that's our favorite color, and say, okay, this is the color that is gonna be the walls. Maybe it'll be like Home Depot, Benjamin Moore, or Behr website, and they'll say, okay, with that color, this is gonna be the best accent color to go with it. While it may look nice, sometimes we have to think about the furniture and art and accessories that we are going to be putting into that room, and will that accent and the color all harmonize together well or not. And color theory is the best way to figure that out. I think for every person, you want to figure out which color schemes you enjoy the most to look at. And you won't really know that until you take the time to go discover spaces or go to art galleries and look at art that has color schemes. And I mean, all art has a color scheme. So going and seeing, okay, what is it that I'm really drawn to? What is it that I love so much? And looking at other interior design, seeing what other people have done and what speaks to you the most. And then looking at that image and saying, okay, what did they do with color? How did they use it? What color schemes were they actually using, and is that why I like this image? In this image here, this is a very warm brown in the wood, so that is a shade of orange. On the actual walls themselves, they are painted orange. The rug is blue and the floor is dark blue. And all the furniture in here is warm color. Oh look, this chair looks like my chair. This guy. I would make an argument for this room being a complementary color scheme, and I'm really drawn to complementary color schemes, so when I see this room, I really enjoy the juxtaposition of the blue against the warm colors of the walls and the ceiling. And I think when we think complementary, maybe the fear is that it would be too intense, but if you look at this example, it's not an obvious orange, it's the orange of the wood tone, and it's that kind of softer terracotta color on the walls. And then the two art pieces too have blue in them, so I love how they repeated that brown, orange versus blue. And then the blues in the rug are bright but also like lighter color, and then the tile is a very dark blue. So it's not so obvious, it's sort of like a sneaky complementary color scheme, which I really love. This dining room is really monochromatic or analogous, and the yellow and sort of tan colors all harmonize really well together, and they also even picked yellow flowers to go on the table to play into that idea of the continuation of this analogous color scheme. So everything in here is really speaking to each other, and I feel that because they used a lot of the same colors and tones, they made things a little bit interesting by adding different textures and patterns to break things up. Like we see a lot of stripes, even the spindles of the chairs. We see, I think, a floral pattern in the pendant light. The feeling that I get from this kind of room is definitely very warm, welcoming, peaceful. Even though it's not a blue or a green, which have the more connotations for peace, it sort of lends itself to that feeling of like everything is in order. Everything in here is sort of one mind, and that's at least how I feel when I look at this room. And I think that's really interesting. I like that a lot. But then it is still playful with the textures of the pendant, of the tablecloth, the striping of the frame around the artwork. This one, when I see it, I actually think of primary colors. Even though the walls are a little more of a yellow-green, it still is yellow enough for when I look at this, I think primary colors. And that lends itself to playfulness, and it's really energizing to walk into a space like this. But also they've subdued it with some earthiness and some warmth. So you can see like the dresser in the background, all of the artwork is very subdued in tone, but the actual wall and the light fixture or the lamp on the end table obviously is red, the sofa is blue, so that's why we get the primary colors. But then all the accessories and everything in the room is kind of helping to subdue that energy and kind of tie everything together and sort of calm the space down and create a sort of settled effect. But again, in the rugs, we also get a lot of red and blue. This room is so interesting to me, and it makes me want to like linger here and stay and see, because I think when there's intentionality behind picking of a color scheme, it makes you want to stay and think like, what else did they think of? What else have they done in here intentionally? It's like exciting. It's really interesting. I love that. I think there was definitely a trend on the interwebs for a little while of people posting videos saying like, there's this trick for any room. If you just add a pop of red, it automatically elevates it. And I think that's definitely true, but I think that there's a reason for that, especially in the context of interior design currently, because I think for so long people have been a little bit shy about, at least in the mainstream, for like normal people's homes, people have been a little shy of primary colors in general. People in their homes often have gone more towards minimalism, and I think the pendulum swings, I think, from minimalism to maximalism in popular media, and so it really depends on where we're at. But personally, I mean, I am a maximalist, so I am happy that it's swinging, that it has swung that way, but I don't know how long it'll stay swung this way before it goes back. I think I can see it already swinging back, but I think the swings are a little faster thanks to TikTok, social media, all that jazz. But I think that trick of adding one pop of red can go also for any primary color. I think if you add a pop of blue, a pop of yellow, depending on what else it is surrounded by, can definitely elevate a space, because it adds an interest there that a lot of people would see as something unique, something that others haven't done or that they wouldn't see in other spaces normally. So it's like, oh, interesting. What influenced that choice? What else is that color speaking to? Like if you have a lot of subdued colors but a lot of warm colors, and then maybe you have a few pops of green, then I think adding in a pop of red would really help with that, adding vibrancy to that warmth, but then also adding a complementary touch to that space. When I was designing our green bedroom, I was searching up other dark green bedrooms to kind of get inspiration for decor and just for styling, and to see how other people sort of maneuvered around the color dark green. A couple of people commented, you know, a little bit worried, like hopefully it's not going to be depressing. And when I was looking through just mood boards and Pinterest, and I was really not liking what I was seeing so much until I came across complementary color schemes. And that's what I really liked. And I know I've talked about Amelie like 2 other times, but that's really where it hit home for me, where I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. That's what I really like. So implementing tones of red, you know, we have like 3 different types of red to go alongside that dark green color. So we got the little IKEA lamp, we got the big West Side Story poster, we've got the shade of darker red that's almost like a maroon in the quilt. We got some pink in the cushions, in the Dutch wife or bolster pillow. Of course, there's a lot of other colors going on in the room too, but red was really what made the space feel really good to me. And then adding in bright colors like white, cream, and orange, I think really also helped to offset that dark, deep color. I feel like those colors brightened up the mood in that room, and now it feels so good to be in there. What you really want to do when you're planning a space is to think about the actual colors that are in items that maybe you had never thought of before. You might have like a beige sofa, but to really think, okay, what is beige? What colors make beige? And you can see like, okay, actually beige is a really light tint of brown. And so there's a little bit of yellow in there, or there's a little bit of red, a little orange inside there. And so what can we do to complement that? If you don't like the use of brighter colors, but you enjoy black, gray, beige, tan, white, then you want to make sure you're mixing tones and mixing contrast in that way. So the same way white and black would sort of be that complementary color scheme. You want to incorporate a lot of different types of tone. Like if you were to take a picture of the room, same thing if you're using color. If you were to take a picture of the room and then put it into grayscale, you would want to still see things popping out against each other because that creates interest. If everything is all the same tone, your eye kind of just slides across everything and it's not creating that texture, visual texture. Personally, colors make me really happy, and I think that there is a little bit of this idea that if you're an adult, you're not supposed to really like color anymore for some reason. Like everybody asks little kids, what's your favorite color? When you're an adult, people don't care so much about your favorite color anymore. I think we need to get away from that mindset that color is for adolescents or it's youthful only, because when you incorporate color into your spaces, it really does so much for your mood, so much for your productivity. I feel like when you are intentional about setting the mood in a space, color is just the perfect way to do that. I'm definitely not against navy blue, beige, sage green, white gray, you know, like those colors are beautiful, wonderful colors, but I think if those are the only colors in your space, I just feel like this is a good opportunity for you to branch out and think, okay, what would the opposite color of navy blue be? And it's orange. And then think, okay, what are some tones or shades of orange that I could vibe with, that I could incorporate into this space that I would like, you know? Or if I have a bunch of navy blue and I want to go more analogous because I enjoy the color blue, then maybe I could do some Carolina blue, some blue-green, very subtle shades of icy blue. If you really want an item to stand out, my personal opinion is the best way to do that is to get the complementary color of that item and have that be the backdrop for it, or have something nearby it be the complementary color. Again, color is so subjective in terms of preferences and what people actually really like to see, so it depends on what you want to do and what you like and how it feels when you enter a space. And I just encourage you to try to incorporate some colors. Try to put in some brighter colors and see where it gets you. I feel like you can enter in little things, like little pieces of artwork, little cups, little bowls that are interesting colors, maybe a little lamp that is a complementary color of your walls, and then see how it feels, see if you like it. And if you end up liking that, then, you know, keep going, see where it takes you. It's an adventure, it's a journey. So thanks for watching. Thanks for coming along on this video and learning a little bit about color theory with me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
The life of Rosalind is the life for